I killed 3 guys in a tree line. They were countering to cut off our avenue to our extraction area, and I plucked 3 guys, me and my spotter. They had AKs and RPKs or PKM machine guns, and was trying to set up an ambush point. And that was my first kill as a sniper. And
how did that feel for you? What was the distance?
300 yards. Like
300 yards?
Yeah, 300 yards, a little over 300. But I remember being on top of the rooftop, and the sun is coming up, so I can see now. Normally, like 98% of our missions are at night. This is the first time I remember seeing like Afghanistan or overseas in the daylight like that. And I see these figures in the tree line moving and bobbing up and down, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So I look through my scope, and that's where I see they're carrying the weapons, and one guy's setting up here, one guy's trying to set up and take his little friend further down in the tree line. So I'm looking at him and I'm like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. We're not being shot at, but they have weapons. I call it up to our ground force commander, and he's like, anybody with weapons that is deemed as a threat, engage. And I remember looking at my spotter. I'm like, dude, we're going to smoke these dudes, man, before they, start shooting at us. Took the shot. My first shot missed, but I remember the recoil and the smell of when you first fire that round and you've got a clean weapon, it's oiled up, and you get that gas blowback. I was shooting an SR-25 and shot the first guy. First shot missed, hit him the second time, went down to the second guy. My spotter picked up the third guy. And I remember with his 300 Win Mag, and it felt good, but it also didn't feel like it was real. My first time shooting a 3-dimensional moving human target, I was not expecting, I don't know, just felt weird normally with the machine gun, it's more bullets. Or with the AR or M4, it's way more. But just putting one round and watching the body go down was it was weird. It was weird. But it felt good to know that I was like doing my job of, hey, I don't ever like to say I did something, I saved the team or prevented something. No, it was just right place, right time. And it felt good to facilitate the extraction for the guys and taking these guys out. That was first day in Afghanistan, got those kills, and we were going out every day thereafter. The next day we went to Marja, and that's where I get into the story. We're walking in we step foot in the perimeter city of Marja, and we get ambushed. And I remember this tracer, to me, it looked like a lightsaber. It was long and a glowing like lightsaber, and it went past my head, and it felt like slow motion. Like, what the heck was that? I knew what it was, but it took a minute. I got down, and that's when we start getting ambushed from the rooftop. Forget how many guys were on the rooftop. I'll pick it up in a minute. But I was at the back of the formation, and me and my spotter, or sniper, Pemberton, I pick him up. I'm the sniper team lead, so I say, let's go to the middle of this formation, provide precision fire, so at least our guys can get out of this kill zone and make their way down to the objective. So I get in the middle of the formation, me and Pemberton. There's an M203 gunner next to me, and I remember telling him, hey, shoot some 203 on the backside of the house that these guys were on in case they try to flee out the back, and we went to cut that avenue off. So he launched off a 203, and I remember I didn't have my ear pro in, and that boom, the crack of that 203 going off was like, wow, woke me up a little bit.
For those in the audience that don't know what a 203 is, that is a grenade launcher.
Yeah, mounted on the bottom of his M4, and yeah, he shoots off 2 rounds of that. It thuds in the back. Me and him set up. I go prone, put my bipods down. He's kind of behind me, and he's using his floodlight infrared flood laser to illuminate the guys on the rooftop. And I could see like their heads pop up, and just the whites of their eyes would glow when it bounces off their eyes or whatnot. And I lined up, and I tell him, hey, we're going to, pick these guys off. I'm going to start on that side. That's how we would work, is I'd work on the outside, work our way in. And we go for the countdown. I shoot, and I hear a click on his end. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And he chambers around, he goes click, click again. Nothing, no fire. And I think what ended up happening, not too sure, but I think sand got in his bolt action and prevented the hammer from fully striking the primer. I'm not sure, but it never happened again. That's like the only time I've ever chewed someone out and, was pissed. But I guess the good side, I got a chance to kill all the guys myself. But as they were popping up, I just said, hey, keep your flood laser on them and walk with me, meaning I'm going to engage one guy and go to the next guy and illuminate his head. So they were popping up and they're shooting at us, and I would just line up the scope and pull the trigger. First shot, I remember, hit the lip of the top of the roof where they were peeking over, and it struck low. Not sure if the distance was off or the angle I was shooting at, I don't know, or jitters, who knows what. I was rarely a first shot impact guy, mainly because of the range. You don't have time to... I was doing everything mil-dot formula. So if I know, like, I always used, if I have your body from top of the head to groin, I knew the constant for that was, 40 times 25.4. And I think that's like 1016, if I'm not mistaken. That would be my constant. And I would just quickly divide the mil dots into that 1016. But I would just make it a whole number, my constant, to 1,000 to get me within close range. So let's say if I measure you from top of the head to the groin, 2 mil dots, I know that's 500 meters, 2 into 1,000. So yeah, I would play it, I guess, by ear like that. The distance was off. I'm not saying that they were 500 meters away. They were relatively close, like within 150 meters away. Shot the guy, cleaned up my second shot, shot him in his head. And I remember his head busting, and it sounded like a gallon of milk, spoiled milk, being poured over the edge of the rooftop.
How close were you?
It was within 150 yards.
You could hear that?
I could hear the chunks, or I could hear splashing.
Shit.
I could hear splashing. My distance, dude, honestly, could be off. It was no more than 150. Nighttime, I don't know. It was within no more than 150. It could have been less than that, less than 100, less than. I don't know. I don't know if I'm not going to say I heard it. I could have been making that up in my brain from what I saw, but I don't know. I don't know. I think the body.
Descriptive.
Yeah. Like even the first guy that I remember a sniper shooting overseas, my brain registered sack of potatoes, and that's what I saw. I thought someone dumped over a sack of potatoes off of a ledge, and that's what my mind made up.